sis, you okay?
So welcome back to episode 3 of Hey Sis, You Okay? Today we have one of our special partners in the community. We have been a partner with the Crystal Judson Family Justice Center before it even was the Crystal Judson Family Justice Center. And so for me, I thought it was really apropos to have our first ever community partner on our, new look of our podcast today. And so help me, Kai, welcome Nadia.
Well, welcome Nadia. You are such a privilege to work with. I get so much guidance and wisdom from you, and you really are a special partner. So just thank you for taking this time to talk with us.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. Thank you guys.
Yeah, really excited to have Nadia here. And many people may not know that Nadia actually started working. We found Nadia, our sister's house. In fact, Betty Blakeney, my mom, hired Nadia. And so Nadia, kind of tell us about, how you found us exactly, how this all started.
Oh man, I knew that I wanted to do something in the gender-based violence area. And after graduating from college, didn't even know where to quite start looking, but had been connected through a friend, Ben, who used to do the crime victim advocacy program, had introduced me to you all. And you all were very willing to take a chance on a pre-baby advocate who didn't know anything about advocacy and what to do, and it turned out to be such a great fit. And I loved the work that you guys were doing in the community, and it was really about just connecting with people and supporting them where they were at, and just getting to continue to work with you. And I just, again, you were willing to take a chance on someone who had no experience, but clearly I had a heart for it. I think that showed. And so now it's just exciting to work with you all in a different capacity of program development and that piece. But
and it's been great. Nadia has been, over the years, as the relationship has grown, it's more than just a work relationship. Nadia, I can think back to how you used to come and support us at our fundraisers. I think one year Nadia bought everything. We were she was just amazing. So I just want you to know we really appreciate you and the history of where we are today. And so we just wanted to bring you on and make sure our community and our listeners know about our partnership and the things we're doing together. And so, Kai, I think you had a couple questions you wanted to start
Nadia,
with.
first tell us a little bit about your role at the FJC, and if you can tell us a little bit, what is the difference between FJC and OSH? We both do domestic violence, but the FJC gets a little more specific. So can you share a little more about that?
Yeah, so Family Justice Centers are a national model. And the idea behind a Family Justice Center is co-location and collaboration. Right. So the idea that multiple agencies share space to provide that wraparound care. Right. But what's also specific about FJCs is you've got not just community services, which are confidential and survivor-focused and survivor-driven and trauma-informed, but FJCs also share space with system partners, so law enforcement and prosecutors. Yes. And I want to be clear, there's a very strict confidentiality between those two sides, but the idea is multiple partners in one space to provide that collaboration. And one of the things that's really great about that is if someone is working with our team and they're needing some additional support that's outside of what we specifically do, because we have those partnerships, a partnership with OSH, the idea of being able to call over, do a direct referral of let's connect you into New Directions or Stepping Stones or some of the other programs. And that partnership is huge because then you're getting a warm handoff. You know who you're sending them to on the other end instead of just saying, here's a phone number, go call them, good luck to you, right? There's that personal connection. Yes. Did I hit on all the questions?
Yes.
Did I? Okay.
Yes, and then one thing I love is that we do stay in constant communication. If we have a client that's in need, we can reach out to either you or Nejma, and then if you guys have questions or need other resources, have no problem sending over what we have found to you guys as well. So I really do appreciate our collaboration on making sure that all of our victims and survivors are getting the care that they need.
And I'll say the collaboration piece, and I think, Kai, you've been a really driving force in this of making sure it's not just us collaborating, but the advocate piece of the times where the advocates have gotten together for potlucks.
Yes.
So that they know who they're referring
Right.
to too, right? It's one thing that
Yes.
we know each other, but for them to do that, and so collaboration, whether it's around that or training opportunities or
Yes.
staff meetings, and I think that that's been a really special piece to this relationship too.
I do too. So to take it back a little bit, just for in case everyone doesn't know, the Family Justice Center before the horrible incident with Crystal Brame and her husband, who was the former chief of police in Tacoma, we were partners with the Pierce County Sheriff's Department. So what happened, we were awarded a legal assistance grant from the Office of Violence Against Women, and it got the attention of a lot of people in this county, and one of them being Eileen O'Brien. And she wanted to know, who are these people? Who got this grant? Who is our sister's house? And so from there, she got to know us, and she went after the Grants to Encourage Arrest grant, which is also an OV, Office of Violence Against Women grant. Excuse me. Sorry. Sorry, Ryan, got to go. Okay. And so from there, she wrote a grant to the Office of Violence Against Women's office, the Grants to Encourage Arrest, and wrote that for 2 of our Sisters House advocates would be stationed at the Pierce County Sheriff's Department. And from there, that's where we really got our boots on the ground, got really understanding how deep and rampant and just how domestic violence was working in this county. And so it was when the Family Justice Center was born that relationship continued to grow, and our advocates now are stationed at the Family Justice Center.
Yes.
And for a while there we had 2, then it went down to 1, but now we're back up to 2 again. So we're really excited to see, that grant has changed and it's evolved, and you can tell us more about that in a little bit, Nadia. But I just wanted to kind of explain that the relationship it really is deep. It really has grown and evolved, and it is our actual longest partnership that if we look
Yes.
back, it's over 20 years, which is amazing.
I love that.
It's amazing.
Well, Nadia, do you have a story, without names of course, that you can share about the impact of the FJC that you guys have done serving your clients?
Yeah, so I've got 2 specific ones that come to mind. Because again, it's about partnership and collaboration and that
Right.
co-location piece. We had a client who had been in, they had filed a protection order. They were definitely navigating additional barriers around language and immigration as well. And in the process of serving the protection order, the person causing harm manipulated the system against them, which we often see happen,
Yes.
right? And caused the survivor to get arrested, which then there was a whole other chain of events that were connected with that. And when we heard about this, we were able to reach out to community partners in a very different way. Of a community partner had been with the survivor during the process of serving the order, so they were able to kind of notify us. We were able to tap into system partners to say, we got a release on file. This is what happened. Do you know anybody connected to this jurisdiction? Like, we're trying to help them navigate different things, right? CPS had stepped in. That particular system partner said, I'm not a part of that, but let me see who I can connect with. And so we really just had this domino effect of folks providing this wraparound care.
Right.
We were able to get multiple people on the phone at the same time to talk through what the barriers were, what had gone on, and what had gone wrong in this case,
Right.
that resulted in the survivor being, victimized by the system. And it took a beat, but the survivor was able to be reunited with their child and connected into long-term care.
Awesome.
And then the other story that kind of pops to mind is, again, because we share space with system partners, we had a survivor who was meeting with one of our deputies. And during the course of the conversation, the survivor said, if I tell you what happens, I don't want you to do anything. And the deputy said, well, I have to move on it once you tell me.
Right.
But let's stop our conversation. Let me go get one of our advocates, and you can talk with them to decide what you want to do. And I believe that one of the advocates that they grabbed was the OSH partner that was on site. And so the advocate was able to talk through with them what were the safety concerns, what was the barriers that were presenting where they were unsure about talking with law enforcement. And it turns out the survivor had pets, And the person causing harm had always threatened, if you file a police report, I'm going to harm these pets. And the survivor was still in the process of figuring out next steps and didn't have a place for the pets to go. And so the advocate talked through safety and resources and then reached out to another community partner who's a pet rescue, Kindred Souls Foundation, and said, this is a situation we have going on. Can you guys help with this? And KSF said, those pets are outside of what we do, but we know somebody to connect you to.
Good.
And so gave that information to the advocate, gave the pet rescue a heads up. The advocate reached out, coordinated that. Pets were able to go someplace safe. The survivor came back in and filed the report. And the reason I love that story is, again, it really illustrates it's not one place, person, or agency. It really takes the entire village and all of that coordination and everybody understanding this is my scope, and while what they need is outside it, I know who to contact about that.
Right.
So
Good, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that story, Nadia. Both of those stories, Nadia. I think it also speaks to the amazing trauma-informed care that you guys provide for these clients when they're walking through the door. The officer not only noticing that maybe she wasn't okay moving forward and grabbing an advocate right away. Most agencies don't have that opportunity. Our clients don't have that opportunity. If they do go to the officers and say, actually, I'm not comfortable, I don't want to move forward, then they'll usually say, well, there's nothing else we can do until you're ready to move forward, right?
Yeah.
But having that advocate step in and help them kind of resolve those issues and get ready to the next step really means a lot and speaks to a lot to what you guys are doing at the FJC.
thank you.
So I know that the grant has changed over, I think this new grant period, and it's called the Increased Criminal Justice Response. Can you explain what this new grant is, and is there any changes, any different, anything you want to share about it?
Yeah, so the grant includes 2 OSH advocates, community advocates, so they are still down there doing the same thing as always, right, of supporting survivors wherever they're at in their process, helping clients do domestic violence protection orders, safety planning, all of that. And those, everybody on the team calls out on domestic violence police reports. We try to specifically focus it with those 2 advocates. And I guess to give context to that for folks who don't know what that is, we receive domestic violence police reports from a number of jurisdictions in Pierce County, and we screen them with the idea of the power and control wheel and risk assessment in mind. And then we cold call out to the listed survivor with the idea of, you reached out for help. What does help look like for you? What would be supportive? So the advocates, that is part of their scope, but the other half of that is having a law enforcement advocate embedded with the sheriff's domestic violence unit. And that's really important because that's meant to be that softer, more trauma-informed touch when someone is working with the sheriff's department, go out with the DV deputies on calls. They're there to provide that basic crisis intervention, and again, that softer touch, some safety planning, and then refer them into the confidential community advocates. And we're really excited to have that piece. And again, because everybody is sharing that space, it's a lot easier to do those warm handoffs. And again, the idea of having an advocate, I mean, you guys had advocates at the Sheriff's Department, right? It bridges such a big gap.
It does.
Between the system and the community.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing on that, Nadia. So can you tell us a little bit more about our collaboration and how it strengthens the work that you guys are doing?
I feel like this is a big question to unpack, and so trying to organize my brain of where to go with this. I would say, to start with, the co-location piece, right, of having advocates that are from a different agency at the FJC. They play such a huge role because they're between 2 agencies. They make that huge connection of when the team is staffing cases or have questions and something is outside of our scope or needs additional support, there's we have a connection OSH, right? So advocates are referring clients back and forth. The focus on when cases are high lethality, the idea of that high lethality DV HRT team with the idea of we need additional support. This person doesn't need just to talk to one advocate.
Right.
We need additional folks that are getting that support, which also ensures capacity, right? Because if there's a day where our team is slammed, but they're needing to connect into an advocate, there's this idea of, okay, OSH has somebody available, let's connect you in today, or vice versa, right? I would also say, like, the training and partnership piece of one of the things that I've really worked for is expanding our trainings to community partners. And OSH has been a huge part of that. When I facilitated staff meetings, like, we always had folks on there,
that's right.
which is another way that the advocates are seeing each other, right? I know who this person is. I'm referring to this person. There's a face to a name. And then you guys have done the same thing, right? Of referring with the staff trainings. We've brought your team in to really focus on how do we support survivors in general, but specifically Black survivors, and providing cultural competency around that. The team building stuff, like I mentioned earlier, of like, and again, Kai, you've been so instrumental in that, of creating space where the advocates just get time to bond and get to know each other so that they have that. But it's also nice just out in the community, whether it's supporting each other at events or when we're going to different community meetings, because we each know about what the other agency does and how we lean into that support. It feels like much more of a united front. I'm thinking some meetings with the court when they were talking about notifying survivors where there's no contact orders and protection orders, and the person causing harm comes within a certain distance, which is connected to the Tiffany Hill Act. It was always really nice going into those meetings because we were able to really back each other up of, the court was asking opinions, and Callie or I would say something, and then the other would be able to step in and be like, no, you need to re-listen to what was just said. And so I feel like, and again, I'm kind of lengthy on this, because again, it's a lot of different ways, but I think that's something I also really value about our partnership is, I know when I'm at a meeting with you, Kelly, of just like, we're coming from different organizations, but we have such a long history of collaboration that we're really able to strengthen what we're saying to support survivors.
Yep, that's true.
That's true. And not only that, we do tabling together. So if we're not available and the FJC is, or if the FJC is not available and we will more than happy take brochures and talk about both organizations and what we can offer. I've gone to the FJC and picked up chairs and tables, so thank you, Nadia. So really do appreciate that. And Nadia, one thing I want to say is that you really do support OSH, and we appreciate that so much, but you do make sure that we have a seat at the table, that we are involved, that we know what's going on. If we are missed from that conversation, you make sure that that information gets back to us and we have a seat at that table. So thank you so much for always doing that.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I was going to say, that just reminded me, I know there's been times when we were like, oh, we need diapers, and we run over there and you guys give us, what size? It's just any little thing. We just are always just in tandem together, working together, and it's really great.
Which just makes my heart so happy, right? Of like, because we have such a unique relationship of knowing that we can call over and be like, this is the crunch we're in. Can you help in this? Like it makes my heart so happy.
Yes, without a doubt. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the future of this partnership?
I love this partnership. It's very near and dear to my heart. So like, the future is I want it to just continue to grow and be there. I would love to figure out additional funding opportunities, and whether that looks like someone who shares space between our agencies, someone who's, I've told you, I'll find space if you want to park anybody down at the FJC. So whether it's that, whether it's sharing space, whether it's opportunities for more prevention work. So I would love to figure out what additional funding looks like that supports our agencies.
I agree with
and even if it's not joint funding of, what work is each agency doing? So is it letters of support to ensure that? I know there had been talk about a year ago about a joint fundraiser.
Right.
I'd love to revisit
We
that.
can revisit that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
But also, you guys do so much work with youth. And at the FJC, we're really focused on the survivor of intimate partner violence.
Right.
And so sometimes that may be someone who's 15 or 16, and sometimes it's the adult, but really to expand, like, are there ways to partner around supporting youth physically on site at the FJC? Because that's such a strength of your guys's. So many different directions to go in.
There's some great ideas. Yeah, I think I think all of those could be considered because I love that. Yeah.
So Nadia, how would listeners get involved with the FJC? Do you guys do interns, volunteers? Can you tell us a little bit more how people can support your guys' work?
Yeah, we love interns.
Yes.
We love interns. And so, yes, folks can intern, they can volunteer, depending on kind of their capacity and how long they can be with us, depends on what that looks like. It can range, volunteers could range from a volunteer chaplain who's there providing spiritual support for survivors. It could be hospitality, so greeting clients when they come in.
Okay.
You know, do you need snack? Do you need lunch? Do you need coffee, tea, that type of thing? If we've got a volunteer who has capacity to do a much deeper dive around training, it could be training them to do police report outreach calls or potentially answering our domestic violence helpline. Our interns are learning all the basics of an advocacy position. So they're learning how to answer the helpline, doing basic crisis intervention, that type of thing. So yes, we love interns and volunteers. We also understand not everybody maybe feels like that's their jam to sit with someone in crisis and hold space, but there's other ways they can support, right? Maybe that is donating tampons or pads or other toiletries or toys during the holiday season for our winter shop. Maybe it's just donating $10, right? It doesn't have to be a huge amount. It could just be small amounts. And just learning about domestic violence is huge because we know we're one piece to someone's journey, but they're going to connect into their community. And so learning more about what those dynamics and how to support someone. So that was a very long answer to the first part of that. But we have our website, aplaceofhelp.org. We do have social media, not super active on it, just to be realistic bandwidth-wise, but there is that. But they can always call, our front desk, which is 253-798-4310 to learn more about how can I get involved. And whether that's having a conversation with me or talking with Nejma, our supervisor, to learn more about that.
Nice. So, and I would say if you are looking for an internship, do apply at the FJC because when we have positions, Nadia gives a good push of this was a really good intern.
Right.
You might want to look into hiring them.
It was a great partnership, I forgot to
Yeah,
mention.
Yeah, exactly. We actually have hired some of the interns,
Yes,
so
we
yes,
have,
that is
so-
true.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that everything we wanted to talk about? Anything else you want to share, Nadia?
I don't know I would just say I really appreciate you guys and the work you do, and just thank you for your support over the years, not just as an agency, but also me professionally, because again, you hired me as a baby advocate, and just the support that I got from you all really means a lot. So I value this partnership.
It's been amazing to see the growth and the woman that you've become. I know you've had a lot of life changes, so we're just proud of everything that you've been able to accomplish, Nadia. So
Thank you.
thank you too.
Yes, well, thank you, Nadia. It was great talking to you. I'm going to roll into some announcements now. Okay, so by the time you guys are listening to this, we would have had our first fish fry, but mark your calendars for October 3rd, October 17th, and 31st for our other fish fries, and our gala tickets are on sale. They're on the website, and if you're not connected to the newsletter, get connected. Thank you all. This has been a wonderful episode of Sis, You Okay?
Hey sis, you okay?